Oh, I'm absolutely fantastic. The sun is kind of shining, and I still have my WWE title by my side. So today's going to be a good day.
Fantastic. Well, we are going to kick things off and get through as many people as we can today. So first on the list, we're going to come to Alistair McGeorge from Metro. Alistair, go ahead.
Hi, Drew. How you doing?
Not too bad. I can only see myself. Is that supposed to be the case?
That is the case.
That's so weird.
You just have to help without seeing us. It's okay.
I'm in a little box and a big box. It's so weird. Just a whole lot of Drew for first thing in the morning.
We saw on Raw recently, Jinder made his comeback from injury. Given your history together, I wanted to ask you how would you feel about some kind of championship feud with Jinder now that he is back?
Yeah, I think it would be fantastic. I do believe Jinder has to go on a bit of a streak first. I don't know if the fans would necessarily accept it right away. There is that real story to be told. And right now, the environment that we're taping in, the number one thing we can really do is tell great stories. And Jinder and I have that legitimate, real story. He just has to get a bit of a run going, build up some steam, and when the time's right, come together. Because aside what people saw on television, aside the fact he won the title before me, and everybody kind of crapped on it, then I won the title and everybody kind of praised it. There's a lot of backstage stuff we can put on screen, and I know it'll be fantastic. We just have to do it at the right time.
Yeah. And quickly then, given kind of the real life story with you both, with leaving and then coming back and everything that's happened with your career, with what we've seen lately with obviously Heath leaving, do you think we could see something similar where he comes back and could rise to that level as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure when I first left, or was fired, and did the initial promo in Scotland where I told everybody, I'm going to become one of the biggest wrestlers in the world. ICW is going to become one of the biggest companies in the world. People probably thought I was insane. Heath's already got a game plan he's forming. I'm giving him some advice what to do, and he's going to really get to show the world what he's capable of. And there's no reason why, he's not going to take over the world, get brought back to WWE and get that opportunity. And finally, in about 10 years, once we've all won the world title a few times, we will reform 3MB. And just so that I don't have to take bumps anymore.
Fantastic. Thanks for your time today.
Cheers, mate.
We will next go to Alan John at Sportskeeda.
Hi, Drew. First of all, congrats on your WWE title win, and I wish you all the best going into MITB as well. Could you tell us what was the backstage reaction when you finally dethroned Brock Lesnar, especially Mr. Vince McMahon? What was his words to you after your win?
I mean, the backstage reaction was non-existent. Just because of the setup, there's nobody back there initially, so it was kind of weird. But when I got to Mr. McMahon and Triple H, and obviously we have such minimal personnel there, the people that were there, especially the crew people, have watched me grow up. Everybody was very happy and very proud. I think for Vince and Hunter themselves, they were just very happy to see that I'd finally kind of grown up and realized the potential they saw in me all those years ago.
Also, same night, your night didn't end there. Once you went back to the ring, you were confronted by a WWE legend himself, The Big Show. It was a big swerve that came in. We were all taken aback. Like, we never thought that you would be defending the title once again on the same night. There were moments where we all felt you could lose, but then again, you slammed him, won the title back. Can you tell me what he told you after the match? Because a lot of people might not have covered what he had to say to you after you defeated him on the same night.
Yeah, I think he's actually come out publicly and kind of spoke about the things that he told me. He's somebody that's watched me grow up since I came to America when I was barely turned 22. And he's very, proud of what I've achieved during my first run. He watched me outside the company. He's very proud where I got to today as a performer and as a man. And like he said himself, he's like, I wanted to test you out there. So there's a couple of times out there, he did genuinely try to test me. And he's very, he could see it with his eyes. He knew I was ready for the opportunity to be WWE champion, but then when he felt it, he actually said the words, "I think you've got the potential to become one of the greatest champions of all time," which meant the world to me because he's been in with some of the greatest of all time.
Okay, thank you, Drew. I'll hopefully speak to you soon again.
I'm sure you will. Thank you, buddy.
We will next go to Caroline at WWE Aftermath in Canada.
Hey, Drew, what's up?
Oh, what's not up? How are you? How's Canada?
Good. Canada's good. How about wherever you are? Good?
Florida is warm. I imagine Canada is always cold.
Don't worry. Yesterday we had a pretty solid day of sun, but today it's back to we have every season in one day, so that's Canada for you though.
Same as Scotland.
Congratulations on your WWE championship. That was unbelievable. My question for you is, you're welcome. My question for you is, it's one thing to win your first WWE championship, but now do you find that there's more pressure going into Money in the Bank, having to defend that title?
Yeah, I mean, I always knew that all along. You know, it's one thing to win the title. I mean, it took me 10 years. There's a whole other ball game to keep the title. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. They win the title and then they're like, oh, kind of what next? You know, I've had a very clear vision in my head. When I became champion, I was like, all right, I'm going to make sure that I defend against the absolute best. I keep things fresh and different. And the truth is, like unintentionally, I've never feuded with anybody except Roman Reigns prior to WrestleMania 35. I was always in groups. I was with like Dolph Ziggler and I, which was great. I was, for some reason, Lashley and Corbin and I were a group for a long time. And then Shane and I were together, which was cool because I learned a lot from Shane. But realistically, I never had any serious feuds. So by the time I've won the title, I've had no real feuds. So everything's fresh. I got into this match with Seth. You know, it's my first title defense. He's one of the most decorated superstars of all time. But I feel no pressure. Like, I feel ready. And we're going to go out there. It's going to be a heck of a match for the fans. I know how good Seth is. Everyone knows how good Seth is. So we have a phenomenal performance from both of us. But in the end, I'm going to kick his head off, and I'm going to keep building up those wins and keeping those feuds unique because I've got unlimited feuds ready for me.
That's amazing. Obviously, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. I think a lot of people in the world, no matter where you are, who you are dealing with a lot of adversity. Have you gotten used to the fact that your performances and, you know, the biggest moments in your career thus far have been in front of no fans?
Yeah, I think I'm starting to get used to it now. You know, I long for the day when we can all get back together and the fans are in the arena. But, you know, when I go in now, it's not as much of a weird feeling. Like, there is such limited personnel there. When you walk out, it's silence. And match-wise, you know, for me, I'm very physical. So for my poor opponents feel like they're in a fight anyway. So I have to amp up the intensity. Just for the viewers at home, I'm not going to hold back ever, but I really have amped up the intensity in the ring. But the cool thing about it is, I feel like the performers have the chance when it comes to their interviews and promos to really tell the story effectively. I think that's the biggest benefit for right now. You know, at the heart of it, you know, WWE is all about storytelling. And I think right now we've got a really good opportunity to get those characters established to the point where the fans are really going to know everybody. By the time we get back in the arena, the fans are going to know everyone from top to bottom, not just the top two people on the roster. So we're looking at the positives in this negative situation.
Awesome. Yeah, all the silver linings.
Yes.
Thanks so much, Drew. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Take care.
We will next go to Nims at SEN Radio in Australia.
Hey there, Drew. How you going? Greetings from Australia.
What time is it there?
It's about 10 to midnight, but it's always a good time to chat to the champ.
Oh, stuff. What you got for me?
Well, look, I know that you've got a pretty big love for Australia and specifically Melbourne, where I'm from, but there is one person that is a bit of a fly in the ointment for you, and that is the disciple of Seth Rollins, Murphy. He did get tangled up in your business. This Sunday at Money in the Bank, obviously got a very big match against Seth Rollins. How are you going to neutralize and be prepared for when or if Murphy gets involved?
Well, if he makes Money in the Bank, I might not have to worry about that because we have a match on Raw this week. So tonight, actually, Monday Night Raw, myself versus Murphy. I'm not sure, is it Tuesday it's shown in Australia?
Yep, that's correct.
Yep, so Tuesday Night Raw in Australia, or Tuesday morning Raw in Australia. I'll be myself versus Murphy, so I would be very surprised if Murphy makes it to Sunday. You know, he stuck his nose in the my business at the contract signing. I guess Seth does still have one follower left, and he ended up getting kicked in the head pretty hard. If you slow motion that kick when he pushed Seth out the way and watch my foot, you know, I rocked his world. And I guarantee, like tonight on Raw, I'm going to probably rock his world so much he might not even make Money in the Bank. And if he does, I'll just do what I always do, kick his bloody head off.
One last one before I hand it over to someone else. You're a big advocate for spreading the love of wrestling far and wide. Every company you've been in, you've had the top championship. You know, NXT, your time outside the WWE. Here in Australia, you've held our top titles. But now the WWE Championship. NXT UK got some fantastic talents, and I feel like you're part of the Commonwealth. We're part of the Commonwealth. We've got some Australians in NXT UK. Is there anyone in NXT UK that you would like to tangle with, or appear at with, or have a match with at one of the NXT UK takeovers?
Anybody, really. You know, I've been bothering Hunter so much for the past at least like a year and a half solid to let me get back for one of the UK takeovers. You know, at this stage, I'll just be happy to show up in the show in any capacity. Like you say, outside the company, it was my job to grow a lot of companies around the world, and all the multiple different countries that I was wrestling in. And obviously the UK was probably my home base. So I'd love to get back there and just see where we're at now. We've got the NXT UK. You know, the Australia scene's on fire. Maybe we'll see an NXT Australia eventually. But for right now, if I can get my hands on, we did a little bit, I guess, it's a Survivor Series. If I get my hands on Walter in a one-on-one match, I get the feeling the fans will enjoy that very much. And, you know, Walter and I might be sore for a couple of weeks after, but I think we'll enjoy it too.
I think you might be the only one that enjoys it, brother. But hey, man, really appreciate it. All the best at Raw. As much as it pains me to say this, hope you can kick Murphy's head off. And best of luck, brother. And hopefully we'll see you soon on Australian shores.
Appreciate that, mate. I will say Murphy is very talented. Like, I've got to give him that much. But I'm going to kick his head off nonetheless.
Thanks, Drew.
Feels it.
We'll next go to Avery over at Son in South Africa.
Hi, hello, Drew. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. This is your first big match after the one with Big Show. How important is this one to cement yourself as the top guy on your road to, you know, to legitimize yourself as one of the best in the business?
Yeah, this one is very, very important. You know, beating Brock Lesnar and the Big Show in the same night, you know, kind of showed everybody what kind of champion I'm going to be. And that's, you know, a very dominant one. But Seth Rollins is no pushover. You know, he's one of the most decorated superstars of all time. That's why when he attacked me, I offered him the title shot. You know, he didn't win at WrestleMania, but just because he didn't win one match, does that mean he's not accomplished more than anybody in the history of WWE practically? You know, I want to face Seth Rollins. I know he's going to bring his absolute best. I know he's obsessed with the WWE Championship. I know we're going to have a great match, and I know I'm going to beat him. And that's very important. Like you say, in cementing my legacy as one of the greatest champions of all time, is beating the best. And Seth is one of the best.
You touched earlier on, getting released from the company. But getting released, how did that help in, you know, with the desire on, you know, coming back as a top guy and, you know, getting to where you are now?
I mean, it kind of forced my hand to try and figure everything out. You know, within the system, within WWE, you know, I was very lost. I'd been there a long time. I lost perspective. I was angry and kind of bitter. And if I stayed there, I never would have been able to grow and achieve everything I've achieved. I had to be outside WWE to be able to look myself in the mirror and know that, come on, Drew, like, as much as you were angry and disappointed when you're in the company, this is really on you. You weren't giving it your all in the ring. You weren't giving it your all out the ring. You weren't giving it your all in the gym. You weren't improving in your weak areas. So this is now or never. This is your opportunity to show the world what you believe you're capable of, or maybe it's time to move on to another career. And from that day forward, I gave it my all. You know, in the ring, out the ring, in the gym, during media, getting better at verbalizing myself. And thankfully, through hard work and perseverance, it paid off in the end, and I climbed my way to the top of the WWE mountain. But that's my mission statement right now, and like I guess one of my biggest goals, aside becoming one of the greatest WWE champions, is to inspire people around the world that if you want something bad enough, it doesn't have to be in wrestling. That's my thing. But if you want a promotion in your office, if you want to, you know, achieve a dream that seems impossible to others, just put your head down, work as hard as you possibly can, be accountable to the man or woman in the mirror, and you can do it, and you will do it. Just look at Drew McIntyre.
Thank you, and all the best this Sunday.
Think about it.
We will next go to Giuseppe at Aska News.
Hello, Drew.
How are you?
Fine. The first for me is Randy Orton and Edge at the great match Last Man Standing in WrestleMania. What do you think about a possible rivalry with these two legends? I remember 3 months ago you had in 2 weeks one match with Randy Orton and one promo with Randy Orton. I think it could be great. What do you think about it?
No, a program with Randy Orton would be great. Aside, again, we're talking about facing the greatest performers of all time to cement myself as one of the greatest champions of all time. Randy Orton is up there in the top 10 on anybody's list. You know, he's unbelievable in the ring, just such a natural, and unbelievable. You know, when it comes to that character, it comes to that snake character, he's phenomenal, and I know we can do some really cool stuff. And Randy's an interesting one. Like the story we could tell, you know, we're not so dissimilar, Randy and I. You know, when we were younger, we made some mistakes, although he was maybe protected a little more, maybe rewarded a little more. I had to, you know, learn the hard way to get to where I'm at today. And I think there's a very interesting story there. And I think the environment we're in, I keep talking about the ability to tell these great stories right now. Like Randy and I could tell a phenomenal story. And when it comes to Edge, I mean, that's a dream scenario. Like I grew up around Edge. I was on the SmackDown roster when he was one of the main guys and the champion. I learned from him all the time. We interacted a couple of times, had a couple of matches when I was younger, and assumed one day we'll get that big match. And then he was forced to retire. And I was like, oh, I guess Edge and I will never have that big match. And now that I've had years to grow as a performer, become who I am today, Edge is back. He's older, he's wiser, he looks better than he's ever looked. I think now, you know, everything happens for a reason. We have that match, we have that rivalry. It's going to be pretty cool.
The second for me, you continue to perform in a scenario without fans. Which is your sensation now after 2 months?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm getting used to the situation now. At first, you know, it would be like, no, I wasn't worried in the moment. Just leading up to it, I was a little concerned. Like, oh my goodness, how's this going to go? But as soon as my music hits, that you just slip into character. Now, during the day, I'm used to it. There's just it's the Performance Center, you know, is a great place, but it is very small. We have such few people there just because obviously CDC guidelines, etc. But you know, we're all getting very used to it. We're all figuring it out as we go. The fans are getting used to watching it from all the social media comments I see online, because this is the new normal for now. But you know, that's the other thing. Everyone out there on social media, if you like something, let us know. And if you don't like something, let us know, because we're trying to figure it out too. And WWE is all about listening to the fans and innovation. That's why we're doing Money in the Bank the way we're doing it this year, because everybody loved the Boneyard match so much. We're going to pursue those different out-the-box matches. So you let us know what you like, and we'll jump on it, especially during these times.
Thank you, Drew. Good luck.
Thank you, bud. Thank you.
We'll next go to Bernard at We Sport in France.
Hi, Drew. It's a for me to talk with you a few minutes.
Bonjour.
About Brock Lesnar. Did you enjoy working with him? There are a lot of critics about him. What's your opinion about Lesnar?
About Lesnar?
Yes, work with him. It's you learned a lot with him.
Yes, I did learn a lot with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. You know, it was a very unique build to our match. Like in basically every Brock Lesnar feud in history. In the build up to the match, he's dominated his opponent every step of the way. And then at the match itself, he wins 90% of the time. And if his opponent wins, you know, it's through a low blow or some kind of dodgy method. There's not usually like a clean finish. And in this build, you know, I won't go into the ins and outs of it, but I was allowed to be very dominant leading through the build of the match. And when we got, especially when we got to Brooklyn, if everyone remembers when Brock and Paul came to the ring, and Heyman usually builds up the opponent, talks about his positives, but he just ran me down as, you know, this guy's a pretender. He's never going to be a main event performer. He can't beat Brock Lesnar. If he was here right now, Brock would drop him. And then I walked out and then ended up dropping Brock, not once, not twice. Then the crowd chanted one more time. And I was so amped with adrenaline on the stage, which hurts a lot to land on. I hit the kick the third time, didn't feel a thing, was so amped up, the crowd were going crazy, and nobody's ever dominated Brock that way, to the point where a lot of people were saying, well, Drew's probably not going to do the big one at Mania, considering he's dominated Brock this whole way. And then at Mania, to defeat Brock within 5 minutes and kick out an F5 on one, I think that says a lot about what those guys are willing to do to help Drew McIntyre, without going into all the details.
Since your victory, a lot of people went to challenge you, including Tyson Fury. He talks about you. Would you like to face him in the future?
Oh, absolutely. You know, Tyson Fury is a smart guy. You know, he understands the magnitude of WWE and the global reach. You know, we're everywhere. We have over 1 billion followers on social media. Just to put it in perspective, and Tyson is an entertainer. You know, he mentioned my name leading up to WrestleMania. I mentioned his name after I won at WrestleMania. He latched right onto it, and we got into a back and forth because he understands that, you know, Tyson Fury versus the WWE champion Drew McIntyre could be a huge match. And perhaps it could be based in America. Perhaps it could be based, you know, in France, in Italy, in Europe, or maybe it could be in the UK as some kind of Battle of Britain. But the idea of facing Fury, I'm all about it. Braun messed up and lost the match against him last time Fury was in WWE, but Braun has came publicly and said that Fury better watch out because, you know, Drew McIntyre's got a bit more experience than Braun Strowman.
I have a last question. You made a special connection with the viewers by talking directly to the camera during Raw. It was your idea to talk from the camera?
Is it one more time?
You talking directly to the camera during Raw. Yep. To the public, to the viewers. It was your idea. Why did you do that? It's not too difficult.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I guess I'm doing it right now as well. I don't know because I'm just seeing myself. But yeah, I mean, I do what feels natural right now. Like, I'm even doing it right now. Like, the guy you're getting right now is the same guy you see on the screen in WWE, except maybe the volume turned up a few dials on the WWE TV show. You know, I don't change who I am. And I watched the show initially. I wasn't on the first couple of shows that didn't have the crowd there. And I, like, just like the fans at home, I would see things I liked and things I didn't like. And I didn't like when some of the performers were in the ring and they started talking to imaginary fans, like there were still fans in the building. And I thought, man, this is stupid. This is such a disconnect. But again, we're figuring it out. You know, this is such a new situation for us too. But watching that as somebody that's been around for a while, I knew, okay, I won't do that. I don't like that. I'll maybe, like, I saw Edge and Randy do their interviews and I went, okay, when they talk down the camera, especially when they're delivering a point, that feels real. It feels more natural. And I'm sure the fans feel the same as me because I am the biggest fan. I just took it too far. So when I got the opportunity to actually do the interview, I started by looking in the camera. I remember, and then I was like, man, this is weird. And then I saw the cameraman on the floor and then I invited him in the ring. Like I was trying to invite the fans at home into the ring with me. And that all wasn't planned. That was just me being out there, whatever feels natural. And it feels natural if I'm talking to the people at home that I'm going to talk to the people at home directly. And that's another thing about this situation we're in right now. When we go back to the live crowds, probably won't get to do that anymore. So the way I make a connection with everybody, aside being myself and showing my real personality and show that, you know, I've been through quite the journey that's relatable, is eye contact, because that's how you connect with people.
We will next go to Dan Owen at Sport 360.
Hi, Drew. Hope you're well.
Oh, fantastic.
Good. As a fellow Brit, we all remember SummerSlam in '92, and I know it's a drum that you've been banging. I just thought we'd use this platform to bang it a little more.
Absolutely.
Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. Can we get another pay-per-view in the UK, and what do you think it's going to take to get it?
I know we can get another pay-per-view in the UK. Again, like, that's not my department. I understand the logistics. It's obviously not very easy to do, but it is possible, and we are going to do it because we have the fan base. They are rabid for it, and the idea that if we get a big WWE pay-per-view there, it's going to be, like, it doesn't have to be WrestleMania. It's going to be like WrestleMania, and I know it's going to be a success. I'm going to keep pushing it till we make it happen. Like phase one, as soon as things start getting back to normal, I'm getting back to the UK. I'm getting an open top bus. I'm getting on the top of it with the WWE title. I'm going from the top of Scotland all the way to the bottom of England. Maybe I'm stopping by Tyson Fury's place on the way to have a little chat. But that's going to be phase one of just starting to get word out there and get the UK raising their voice to say that we want this pay-per-view. And WWE are going to do it one way or another, mark my words.
So we're going to get the Drew McIntyre version of the Lex Express.
So in a way, he's gone silent. I know it's emotional. I have to cry. There you are.
Just one last question: if you were going to fantasy book that pay-per-view, who do you headline against?
Ooh. It's a good one. Like all of it, like I say, right now I'm concerned about our superstars get the opportunity first. They're the ones that have worked the hardest for it. Those are the ones that deserve it, and they're going to get it. 'Cause this is a project down the line, obviously. But maybe that's where the match with Fury happens, like as a Battle of Britain. Just like the big thing is, you know, we want our fan base to be there, but we also want to attract some eyes that maybe aren't on the WWE product, and that's one of my goals as WWE champion. Like, you know, it's my job to get eyes outside the company on the product, so they go, oh, there's a guy I recognize, Fury. Let's watch this WWE, and they watch it, and then they see all of our other superstars, male and female, and they're like, wow, I love this WWE, and then we've just made a fan. So I guess, like, for getting eyes on the product to make some new fans, maybe that's where we do the Battle of Britain with Fury in there.
Why not? Appreciate your time.
Thank you, bud.
We'll next go to Felix at Reformer.
Hello, Drew. How are you?
Lovely. Thank you.
Oh, excellent. Well, I want to know, what do you expect about all the fans in the world, because, you know, we are in a difficult moment about the pandemic, and how important is to bring a good show, maybe the best in the history, because there are difficult days now in all the world because of the pandemic.
Yeah, I think now more than ever, it's important that if we can bring a show and safely bring a show, that we absolutely do it and push forward. And I'm very proud of what we're doing right now. Like I say, it's a kind of a work in progress and figuring it out, because uncharted waters for us as a company. But I speak to my buddies back home. I see the comments on social media. I speak to my buddies here, and they tell me all the time, like, man, if we just had like a football match to watch, or a rugby match to watch, or a cricket match to watch, or whatever your sport is, like, they're just like starved for like some sporting content. And they say, like, I'm really glad like WWE is still going. And again, like, they're my friends, they watch WWE, they tell some of their friends, like, hey, WWE is still putting out original content right now, and we've made some new fans that way. And the fact that we're taking people's mind off such difficult times, that is the number one thing I'm most proud of right now, being with WWE and WWE champion.
Yes, and now another question: what do you think about Mexican wrestler Andrade and all the things that happened with him and with Selena Vega?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I have my issues with them. I think I've said Selena's a thorn in my butt that I can't seem to get rid of. But you know, realistically, like, she's very talented. The whole group's very talented. You know, Austin Theory, you know, he's, you know, just getting started. He's got a bright future. Garza comes from a great wrestling family. He is great right now. He's going to be even better into the future. And Andrade is like the man right now. You know, he's somebody that all the pieces are falling together finally. There was just something kind of missing. I don't quite know what it was, but those pieces are coming together now. And the Andrade that I faced a few weeks ago, I know just he keeps on the roll that he's on right now. When I face him again in 2 or 3 months, it's going to be a whole different Andrade. And that's the guy I'm going to be worried about when it comes to retaining my WWE title, because he's going to be one of our top stars for years to come.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Drew.
Thank you, bud.
We will next go to Christian at Power Wrestling in Germany.
Hey, Drew. How are you today?
Delightful. How about yourself?
Great. You talked earlier about like not getting the direct feedback from the fans, of course, at the moment at the shows. But what was it like winning the WWE Championship? What was the moment like when you were handed over the title at the moment? Was it like satisfying, or did it sink in differently at the point of time because of the fans not being there?
Yeah, I mean, it was overwhelming. It was real. The thing was, like, because there wasn't 80,000 fans screaming after the 3 count, you know, I hit Brock with a 3rd Claymore in a row. 1, 2, 3, silence. And then there's a moment of, okay, the match is over. And then suddenly the referee had the WWE Championship that I've been chasing my whole life, but especially over these past 12 years and the ups and downs and everything I've been through. And finally I was being handed the WWE Championship. That was very real. That was overwhelming. If anything, if there was a crowd there, the adrenaline would be so high in my body, I wouldn't be able to control myself. I'd have been jumping up and down, raising my hand. But because it was so quiet, it was a very private moment that everybody got to see, that I was in my own little world. I was running through my history in my head, all of the sacrifices my family and my wife have made to help me get to that point. And then after a little, it probably was about 10 seconds, but felt like about 5 minutes to me, I realized, oh, Brock Lesnar's lying there. I just beat him. Oh, there's millions of people watching. Oh, I better pay attention. Because I literally was in my own little Drew world for a second. And that's when I made my way to the camera on the floor. And like we talked about earlier, talking down the camera and breaking the 4th wall that you're not supposed to do. I couldn't help myself. I pointed into the camera and said, thank you for everyone that supported me to get to me to this point, becoming WWE champion. Thank you for choosing WWE during such difficult circumstances. And that was pre-taped. They could have edited that out. They chose not to, because the moment was so real. And that right there was my WrestleMania moment. You know, it's cool to have the crowd screaming and raising the title, but history will remember the WrestleMania when the world stood still. In history, you know, will remember that moment because it was so unique and it was so real. And I was so thankful.
There were a number of releases at WWE just recently. And of course, you've been there. You have talked about it quite a couple of times. And what advice do you have for all those guys and girls that have recently been released? Probably now everybody is at career crossroads. And we've seen like Drake Maverick taking like this opportunity now and getting in a positive direction with it at NXT at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about it. It's like Drake, for example, is somebody who is very smart when it comes to this business, has a very high IQ, and he can do about 50 different jobs, you know, not just in the ring. And, you know, right away, you know, he put his heart in his sleeve, put the video out there about how he felt about it and how much this industry means to him, and he was going to succeed no matter what. And he was given an opportunity and he smashed that opportunity out the park. And that's the thing about everyone that isn't with us right now. You know, this is an opportunity, just like when I was released. That's how you got to look at it. It's okay. If I wasn't content with how I was being presented in WWE, because I know a few of them weren't, I've spoke to them privately. I don't speak about this stuff publicly, and I won't go into too many details about it right now either. But I did tell them, you know, this is your chance. This is how I went about it. This is how I thought about it. Whatever image you've got in your head, get it out there, because when the time comes, when things start opening up, there's so many opportunities out there. You're going to get to show the world exactly who you are. And one day, if you choose to, you'll be back in WWE. If you choose not to, you can have fun and succeed elsewhere. But the wrestling industry is very healthy and everybody's going to do just great.
We will next go to Vicente at Marta.
Hello, Drew. How are you doing? Hello from Spain.
Hello, Spain.
I would like to ask you first of all about your character, because at what time, when did you start to realize that your character was evolving from being one of the top heels in the company to one of the top faces in, let's say, 1 year?
I'm trying to think. pinpoint when like people started kind of cheering, because I wasn't doing anything particular that would a good guy would generally do. There was no particular moment where I saved a good guy in trouble or saved the girl from the tracks before the train hit her. It was just like I started showing a little more of myself on the microphone, I guess, and people started responding, because in real life, I'm not the serious guy that I was for a while. I can be serious, very serious, but there's a lot more to me. I'm silly, sarcastic. I like to have a good time, but in the end, when I get in the ring, everybody knows Drew McIntyre kicks butt. And I noticed that people started to cheer a few months before the Royal Rumble win. I remember one in particular that stands out to me is at Madison Square Garden. I walked out, and I think you can tell a lot about how the Garden reacts to a superstar. I walked out, and I was against No Way Jose, I remember, and I think I was out first, and just the way people reacted, I was like, and I got to the ring looking around, and Jose made his entrance. They were still kind of quiet during his entrance, which was unusual because it's such an entertaining entrance. And he leaned into me and went, "Are you Stone Cold Steve Austin tonight?" I was like, I don't know, it's really weird. Just the reaction of the fans was very bizarre, but it's very telling how the Garden reacts. It's like they're ahead of the curve. And sure enough, as the weeks passed and I started showing more of my personality, and the rest of the fans around America and around the world, I could see on social media, started responding the same, building all the way till I put Brock out the Rumble and won the Rumble. And I think that's when things, really switched from bad to good.
Well, you're facing Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank. In my mind, there's no doubt you will defeat Seth Rollins. But after Seth, who do you think that deserves a title shot?
Good question. Who deserves it? Who deserves it? I mean, we've got so many talented people. We've heard names like Randy and Edge so far. Like Jinder, I want to make him to go on a winning streak first before we even consider it. Somebody that's not there right now, hopefully he can dig himself out from the ground. But AJ Styles is somebody that's certainly up there. He's a performer that, he's one of the greatest in-ring performers of all time. When I first started training, when I was 15, he was like on top of the independent world. I used to study his tapes like crazy. And I was like, man, I'm going to be like AJ Styles. And then I kept getting taller and kept getting bigger. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to be like AJ Styles, but he's really cool to watch. And then I was in WWE for years. He was obviously outside the company. And he came to WWE. Then I was outside the company with the same company he was with. And then I came back to WWE. We're both on different shows. So we kept been like passing ships in the night. We never really had that opportunity to have a singles match. And I believe we had a triple threat one time with himself, myself, and Randy Orton, which the match was awesome. And I know myself and AJ got the chance to go out there. Not only would it be like awesome story-wise, but obviously the matches would be phenomenal.
Thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
We will next go to Zed at justsaying.asia.
Hi, good morning, Drew.
Good morning.
So, Drew, you've mentioned a bit about, a couple of times about how it's like to tell a story. As champion now, do you approach matches a different way than you previously would, now that you've got the title and you have to defend it?
I don't know if approach matches different just because I've got the championship. I mean, I guess I must, but I think the reason I approach matches slightly different is the environment we're in. Like when you've got a crowd there, the crowd can sometimes change the flow of a match, be it through how they're reacting or the adrenaline of the performers in the ring, etc. Now, I don't know what happened. It's like, I guess the best way to describe it is like if you've ever been in a bar fight or a pub fight and you get out there and then there's just maybe a few people in the bar, but when you start fighting, it's just kind of you and that person you're fighting out there, and there's not much outside sound aside a couple of voices around. So I guess that's what my matches resemble now. There's more of a bar fight, and I'm very physical. I go out there and I'll smack my opponent very quick, and with the environment we're in, you can hear all the shots. So like there's no punches pulled in a Drew McIntyre match. When I hit somebody, you feel it at home, and they better hit me back or I'm going to eat them alive. It's as simple as that, because I want my matches to feel different when it's the champion that's out there. I want people to go, oh, it's Drew McIntyre time. Like, this is going to get good. You're going to feel these shots through the screen. So You can feel bad for my opponents because it's basically a bar fight.
Yeah. And I think the WWE, when you compare it to most other sports, it has the most amount of audience interaction and, you know, that communication with the fans. And how have these times, basically, what are you doing new that you feel that you need to do to continue this connection with the fans, even though you're not there? And is this something that you see it's going to change the way WWE reacts to fans or communicates with fans going forward after we're done with all of this, as in when the fans are back in the stadium as well?
Yeah, I mean, like I've mentioned, and I'll elaborate on, like I'm trying to figure out, like the other superstars, you know, how to best embrace this environment. Like you can't just go out there and pretend there's 20,000 people there, because there's not 20,000 people there. So I go out the best I can and embrace it. Like I walk out, there's no one there but a cameraman and 3 commentators. I'm probably going to go, "Hi guys, how you doing?" Because there's nobody else there, and it feels natural to do. And it feels natural, I'm going to do it, because if I'm relaxed and having a good time, the fans at home are like, "Okay, you know, I can watch this. This is easy to watch. It doesn't look like he's very uncomfortable the whole time." And going forward, like as you say, we're learning different things, and if it works, we're going to apply it when things resume back to normal. And for me, you know, making that connection to people at home, like by using the camera, and we're able to look into the camera, I think we should continue to do that in the right circumstances. Like if you're looking to make a point to your opponent who's maybe backstage, if you're looking to speak to the people back home, like I keep saying, there's no greater connection than eye contact. And the people in the building, that's one thing. You play off of them, you have fun with them. It's one of my favorite things to do, especially since, you know, I've been allowed to, is to interact with the fans in the arena. But when I want to make my point, or I want to hammer something home to people at home, I really want to look down that camera and say it. And I think that is something that I will continue to do until I get told to stop it.
Thank you very much, Drew. Best of luck against Seth.
Thank you, buddy.
We will next go to Stephanie Chase at Digital Spy.
Hi, Drew.
How are you?
Hey, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Delightful.
After having your big win at WrestleMania, how hard did you find it to keep the secret that you were now champion? Did you tell anyone outside of WWE?
Only my wife knew. Not that people didn't try and get it out of me. I've spoken about this in the past, that I have an amazing ability that if I don't want to think about something, I can control my brain, where I move something over to the side and I lock it away, and it's almost like it doesn't exist anymore. You know, I can do it with negative feelings or things from my past. Might not be healthy actually, but I've got the ability to do it. You know, I can move things from my past, or things that I don't like, or things that I'm not focused on, just out the way for now, so I can focus, you know, on the task at hand. But when it came to, you know, winning the championship, and people were chattering online that had already happened, I suddenly had people calling me from home, etc. Like my dad, there's one particular phone call I guess I'll use as my dad said about 5 times in the same phone call. And I know I'm not going to ask what the result is, Drew. And I said, "Okay, Dad, because I'm not going to tell you." We talked for 5 minutes. And again, "I'm not going to ask for the result." "Okay, Dad, because I'm not going to tell you." And over and over and over till I finally said, "Dad, when you're watching the freaking Avengers, do you ask people what the finish is? Just watch the damn thing and we'll talk afterwards." So my dad kind of pushed a little bit for it, but yeah, I hid it upstairs. I'm in the office right now. You know, this is where I do all my work now. My wife painted this wall behind me. Hopefully everyone likes it. This is where I hang out most of the time. But the title lived in here, and I wasn't allowed to touch it until the 1, 2, 3 happened. I watched WrestleMania on the couch downstairs. I ran upstairs. I got the title, and that's the only time I was allowed to have it. It's when it was official. And every interview you maybe heard before that, leading up to WrestleMania, when it had already happened, maybe sounded like it hadn't happened yet, because in my mind it hadn't happened yet.
And we've just seen women's champion Becky Lynch star in Billions. Do you have any Hollywood aspirations?
I wouldn't say aspirations, and she did a great job as well. I watched that last night. But you know, you never know. That's the thing, I guess, about WWE superstars. Other platforms understand our reach and our fan base, and perhaps want to do some crossover promotions and work together. So if it comes up, we'll look at it. I'm always pitching, you know, Braveheart 2, The Rise of Wallace, because zombies are the kind of still the in thing. So maybe at the end of Braveheart, obviously, you know, he got hung, drawn, and quartered. They took apart his limbs. So in my version, Braveheart 2, they get all his limbs, they put him back together, he comes back as a zombie. Braveheart 2, The Rise of Wallace, Zombie Wallace. They make that, I'm in.
Thanks very much, Drew.
Thank you.
We'll next go to Rishav at Times Now.
Hello. It's a fly.
Let's try that again. We go to Rish at Times Now News India.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. Hi. So, my first question is, of course, facing Brock Lesnar is a big dream for every superstar. So, now that you have defeated him, so which superstar now you really want to face next?
Like I mentioned already, I think AJ Styles will be up there if he can dig his way out after the Boneyard match. But yeah, there's a bunch of superstars. There's a lot of guys that I've not feuded with, like I said already, because I was part of groups for so long that my kind of opponent list is somewhat unlimited. I think myself and Bobby Lashley, you know, we had a big feud in TNA wrestling over the heavyweight championship. And I think once he gets on, you know, he's on a bit of a run right now and showing what he's really all about. He seems to be pushing Lana to the side, stop listening to her nonsense. And that's the kind of Bobby Lashley I want to face for the title, a focused, dangerous Bobby Lashley. So once he gets his head in the game, which he seems to be doing right now, we're talking about these unique matches that are outside the box. Like I can imagine a situation when Lashley's ready for the opportunity that Lashley and Drew McIntyre tape fists either in a bar or like, remember the old matches? I remember WCW, Finlay and Regal had a match when there was a bunch of cars that surrounded them in a parking lot with all the lights on and they fought in between there in like a street fight. I would love to do a match like something like that with Bobby Lashley because he is physical as hell.
Okay, you have lost to Seth Rollins in past, but the things are different because now you are the champion. So are you confident that you will get past him this time?
Yeah, I'm confident. I'm on the roll of my life right now. Like you said, Seth and I have faced each other in the past. I know he's one of the best because I've been in the ring with him. He was a different Seth Rollins then. Now I don't quite know what's going on in his head. I don't know if he knows what's going on in his head exactly. But that might be to my advantage that he's kind of going off the deep end right now. But I know he's going to bring his A game. I know it's going to be a phenomenal match. And I know in the end, I'm going to kick his head off.
Okay, and the last one, how much the pandemic has had an impact on you? Means how much your life has changed after, means in past 2 or 3 months?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same as a lot of people. Like I obviously as a WWE superstar, we're generally on the road 52 weeks a year, non-stop traveling. With non-televised shows, maybe 2-3 shows before we tape TV. So now only taping you know, our television show and our pay-per-views, my schedule is dramatically down. I'm based in my home, which I've never been ever unless I was injured like everybody else in the world right now. I now have gym equipment in my garage. I've been talking about doing it for years. I keep threatening my wife that I'm going to finally get my gym in the garage. Now my hand was kind of forced. So, you know, there's a lot of differences. And again, like hopefully like everybody else out there, you know, we're looking for the positives in the negative situation. You know, I was gone all the time. And when I was home, I wasn't exactly home. My body was there. My mind wasn't there. I'm kind of learning to be present while I'm home and, you know, building my relationship to a greater height with my wife. And hopefully people around the world are taking this time to really build their relationships with their friends and family and using apps like Zoom to catch up with everybody. And again, finding the positive during negative times, because that's a big thing for me right now.
We will next go to Ivan at Estilio D.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. You returned to the WWE into NXT, and how does the yellow brand help you to win the WWE Championship?
The time in NXT was essential. When I was coming back to WWE, I spoke to Triple H on the phone for a while, because my head I wasn't coming back until I spoke to Hunter on the phone, and in my mind I was only going to NXT. That was his plan too. We're on the same page that if I was coming back, it wasn't to Raw, it wasn't to SmackDown, it had to be to NXT. you know, the NXT fan base, or, you know, the hardcore fans, they kind of knew what I was all about outside the company. I had the opportunity to be a leader there. And aside what you saw on TV, backstage, I was working with Shawn Michaels, who's a trainer down there, 2-3 times a week. You know, I live about a 4-hour round trip from the performance center where I'm sitting right now, and I would travel as often as I could just to work with Shawn. And I always call that time, you know, getting my PhD, because Shawn Michaels is one of the best in-ring performers of all time. So I learned so much during that period that without the time spent in NXT, like, you know, maybe I wouldn't have got to the title, or maybe I wouldn't have got to the title as soon as I did.
Of course. And 5 years ago, you were here in Mexico in matches. And how do you remember? Do you remember that time?
The AAA?
Yes.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. I love Mexico. The Mexican fans are some of the most passionate fans in the entire world. It's part of the culture. You know, wrestling and sports entertainment, like, you'll love it. I love it. It's a perfect marriage. And every time I was there, I just had the best time. I'm so excited to the next time WWE comes back to Mexico, because I know how much the fans truly love it.
Thanks a lot, Drew.
Think of it.
We will next go over to Faisal at UFM in the Middle East.
Yes, finally. Hi, Drew. How are you?
I'm excellent. Someone's going to get shocked when they ask me how I am, and I say terrible.
No, it's like hello sometime. I welcome you in GWS for the second time, but this time as a WWE champion. So, first of all, congratulations, or let me say you deserve it.
Oh, thank you, buddy. I wouldn't say I deserve it. Maybe earned it. I don't know, but no one deserves it.
Yeah, you earned it, of course. You earned it and deserve it to be a WWE champion. It's something not easy, especially when you beat the beast, Brock Lesnar, then the giant Big Show at the same night.
Crazy. Every time I hear it, like, out loud, like, it's wild to think that I beat both of them the same night.
Yeah. Once upon a time, you have a dream, and now you made it as a WWE champion. Do you have any message to anyone who has a dream?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm all about now. You know, these are my two things I mentioned already that are most important to me, is, you know, solidifying my reign as one of the greatest champions of all time. But just as important is spreading, you know, that positive message that I want to inspire everybody out there to chase your dreams. And again, it doesn't have to be my dream. This is my dream. If this is your dream too, then cool. But whatever your dream is and whatever your goal is, it doesn't have to be an insane dream. It could just be working towards that promotion, whatever your job is. It could be, you know, there's a risk you think is like, you know, I don't know if I should do this. It's a bit risky, but, you know, if you don't go out on a limb, you don't get to the fruit. So I tell everybody, as long as you give it your all, as long as you're completely accountable to the person in the mirror, the man or the woman in the mirror, and you know that you're working as hard as you possibly can, leaving no stone unturned, then you will absolutely achieve your goals. I promise you. Like, I've been the highest of highs, I've been to the lowest of lows, and then I've been even lower than the lowest of lows. But when you start turning on the focus, then you're absolutely unstoppable.
Yeah, at the end, do you have any message to your fans in Saudi Arabia? And we want to see you again with the champ, with the belt.
Yeah, as soon as we can get back, you know, we're going to be back. That's the thing with WWE, you know, wherever the fans want to see us, we're going to be there. And I was blown away by the knowledge of the fans in Saudi Arabia. I did a signing one time, and I remember thinking, is WWE big here? Every single person in line told me about my history and my career and how excited they were about the show. And then when I saw the fans' faces, when I walked out live, and then the biggest thing of all, obviously, was having the women's match there when Lacey Evans and Natty had the match, and people in the crowd were crying. And they were crying, and people backstage were crying. And I'm not going to get emotional talking about it, but you know, that's something that's real. People can say whatever they want about wrestling, but that was a very special moment in Saudi Arabia right there. That's something that was very real. And that's one of the things I'm so proud of WWE making differences like that. And I cannot wait to be back.
I'm proud of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, buddy.
We've got time for a couple more. So we'll go next to Luis Ramirez at Millennial.
Hello, thanks for the minute. Well, the first question is about how difficult has been for you all these quarantine time in your house after you leave London fastly. How difficult has been to you training in house or to do all the times staying home?
How difficult was my training? Was that how difficult is my training while I'm home?
Yeah, how difficult has been for you the training at home? How difficult has for you the mentally side to stay all the time in home? Don't have all the fans screaming in arena.
Yeah, I mean, trading wise, like I mentioned already, I got a bunch of equipment in my garage. I mean, I don't have everything. That's the other thing, you know, out there. Like if you have a little bit of equipment, you might have to improvise. I'm improvising a lot. If you have no equipment, there's workouts on YouTube, etc., without weights. And there's a lot of yoga and meditation, because I think during this time, aside physically working out, that helps a lot of people. You know, the mental aspect is a big thing right now. People need to be looking after their mental health. And, you know, there are exercises you can find on YouTube, etc., that can help with that. And, man, this is such some wild times. What was the last question in the arena? Oh, difficult in the arena. Yeah, like I mentioned already, you know, not having a crowd there is interesting. We're getting used to it. The fans, I believe, are getting used to it, and we're learning a lot. And I think that's the thing about right now is people in general are learning a lot about themselves, and we're learning a lot about what we can do to keep the product fresh. And going forward, hopefully we can learn some lessons we can apply going forward. And I guess the other thing for me is, like, I was never a fan of social media prior to everything that's happening right now. I only ever used it for business related activities. If I ever did a personal tweet, it was very, very rare. But I've saw like the whole world come together on social media. Like we're talking about mental health. People are looking out for each other. If somebody's struggling, everybody chimes in and helps out and lifts them up. And people are giving each other different exercises to do online. So, you know, that right now I really appreciate social media. So if you're struggling out there, you know, there's somebody to talk to. Just reach out on social media and trust me, somebody will lift you up.
We will next go to Joshua at, I want to say, Toute la Télé in France.
Hello, Drew. How are you doing?
Bonjour.
My first question, what impact your both victories at Royal Rumble and WrestleMania did in Scotland?
What impact did my victories have in Scotland?
Yes.
I mean, when it comes to Royal Rumble, obviously we had the crowd there and people were watching in bars across the world. And I saw multiple videos of the fans reacting, excuse me, in different bars across the world. I saw videos from America, Canada, Europe, England. But the craziest ones I saw were from Glasgow and across Scotland. Like the way people were watching the show, those hundreds of people in a bar staring at the screen. And when I threw out Roman Reigns at the end of the Rumble, you would think it was a football match, like a soccer match, and somebody had scored in the last minute in the cup final. The way everybody reacted, just to see people react that way. You know, people say a lot about wrestling, they have their opinions, but like that was a real reaction, that was real emotion, and they were like so happy one of their own was able to win such a big event. Regarding WrestleMania, when I won, you know, obviously, like when it comes to instant feedback, our live crowd is the best kind of instant feedback you get. But the next along is our social media. Like I mentioned, with over 1 billion followers on social media. When I won that match at WrestleMania, my timeline friggin' exploded like I've never seen in my life. Like we got 13.8 million social media interactions over the 2 days of WrestleMania, up over 50% from last year. Like people were watching it all across the world. And I saw on there just like how happy and proud everyone was of me, which is crazy because social media can be negative sometimes. And obviously when it came to Scotland, like they couldn't believe one of their own had won. Like there's 5 million people in Scotland. We have 5 champions currently in WWE. That's, you know, 1 in a million chance that would ever happen. And the fact one of them's WWE champion, I know they're very proud of that.
And with Successful, you joined TNA in 2014 for 3 years. did you still confident about come back to WWE and making a greater career by, for example, by winning a world title?
Yeah, everything I did outside the company greatly increased my confidence and allowed me to show what I was truly capable of, but also, you know, get better. And being TNA champion, you know, that was one of the biggest learning points for me. You know, I felt confident and ready at the time when I was champion there, and I took the title across the world. That was my choice because I wanted to raise the title up. You know, I didn't want the title to define me. I wanted to define the title, and I took the title around the world. I was given a platform by them to show what I was capable of and hopefully raise the value of that title. And, you know, getting that kind of experience, as well as all the other companies I worked for and I was champion for, really prepared me for my time in WWE. And I said, because of all my experiences, all my ups and downs and everything that happened, I'm ready to be WWE champion. There's nothing you can throw at me I'm not ready for. Nobody expected a pandemic to happen, but I still stand by that statement that no one's more ready to carry the company during these difficult times than Drew McIntyre.
Thank you everyone for your questions. That's all we've got time on questions, but as always, the final word should go to Drew. So Drew, this Sunday, we have Money in the Bank. You know, we've got some incredible matches, titles being defended. You're obviously facing Seth Rollins, and we have also learned in the past week that the men's and women's Money in the Bank ladder match will be competed for at the same time at WWE's headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut. In your opinion, what is the key reasons why people should be tuning in to Money in the Bank this weekend?
I mean, that Money in the Bank match is, if that's not worth tuning in for, I don't know what is. Like, I'm excited about seeing what's going to happen there. You know, we've obviously got a lot of exciting matches on the card, like including myself and Seth. I guarantee, you know, that match will be talked about for a long time, because when Seth and I get the opportunity to get in the ring together, especially in a pay-per-view, especially during these times, we're going to go all out to make sure everyone has a great viewing experience. But that Money in the Bank match, like the fact that it's in WWE headquarters, it starts on the ground floor. You got to fight through the tower to get to the roof, where there's a regular Money in the Bank match on top of the roof to get the briefcase for a guaranteed title shot is insane. But the fact that the men and women are fighting at the same time is another thing that shows how far we've come. You know, I don't want to start rambling and going on about women's evolution and stuff, but it is very important, and it just shows how far it's come. That it's not even a second thought. The men and women are fighting at the same time. What I'm excited about is Corbin in this match by any chance? Is Corbin in this match? I'm trying to remember the participants.
Is that to me?
Yeah. Is Corbin in it?
Yes.
Oh, yes. I thought it was. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, this is what I'm excited about. I reckon, and I don't know, but I reckon at some point there's a possibility that they're going to cross paths with each other, and then somebody like, say, Shayna Baszler might break a Baron Corbin's arm. So these are the things I'm picturing in my head about how crazy this match is truly going to get. So I think, you know, that match alone is worth tuning in for. You know, during these times, we're trying to think outside the box. We're trying to innovate. There's nothing more outside the box and innovative than this freaking Money in the Bank ladder match. So I'll be sitting as a fan watching it, and I hope you will too.
Thank you so much, Drew. And thank you everyone again for joining. And we hope to speak to you soon. Stay safe, stay well, and we will see you soon.
Awesome. Cheers, everybody. Thank you.